Alright guys, this is a special episode. This was an episode I filmed with a person I met in England in a market. His name was Winston. And sometimes you just want to connect with people that vibe with you. Especially when doing podcasts, you may have heard Joe Rogan say he interviews people he finds interesting. Well, sometimes they don't have to be a scientist. They don't have to be a celebrity. Sometimes you can just vibe energies and come out with something interesting. So here's me 2 years ago when I actually tried to do my first episode of Comedy Conscious, but I never edited this because it was a very hard edit. There's a lot of noise in the background because it's pretty much a market of all these different cultures coming together, and it literally sounds like at times you feel like you're in the Middle East or China or something. So a lot of sounds that I had to go and edit out. I apologize for the sound quality. Enjoy this because I call this episode 1.5 because it was at one point supposed to be the first episode, but since it's not, I just want you guys to enjoy this too. This kind of goes together. If you guys already like what I'm doing, this is something that's in the middle between what just happened and while I was there in England and that happened. And I feel like the two episodes will kind of show you two different sides of like where I am now, where I was then, and where I'm going. So I hope you guys enjoy this, and yeah, thank you. This is Comedy Conscious, episode 1.5. So, this is pretty much my first Comedy Conscious podcast. I'm just connecting with people that I thought were interesting. So I'm here in England, and I basically might as well talk how we met, right? I came to this market area, and this is a bookshop called No Ordinary Bookshop.
No Ordinary Bookshop, indeed, yeah.
And it really is not an ordinary bookshop. And so, right next to here are a couple wares and stuff. So we have like Nomad Sands, we have Sarah B over here, and they're like a little tight-knit group family.
Yeah, we call this Africa or Nation Road, just along this little track, because there's a Thai lady, my wife and myself, we are West Indian, and our neighbours are West Indian and North African. And further on there's a lady from Africa and two ladies from Africa, so this is really mainly Africa and West Indian Road, but we have incorporated our neighbour into it also.
Yeah, and I was over here buying all this crazy cool pimp jewelry here, and I'm really like Moroccan culture is really cool, man, and talking this red one is the guy who has the other stand here for Nomad Sands, and yeah, man, it's just beautiful how we have all these cultures and they're just like right together like this, and they're like a little tight-knit family. So might as well talk how we like. I'm buying stuff over here. Winston, his name is Winston,
and I look over his shoulder and think this guy seems interesting. Let me just be nosy and see what he's up to. And I saw what he was looking at, and I started chatting with him over his shoulder, which was a distraction from what was going on. But I showed him my rings and gave him a background.
Oh, they're beautiful rings. I don't know, can you show? Like, just go right here and show them? Like, yeah, they're beautiful.
These are my rings, and they come from Morocco and Greece.
Very cool.
And that one's my wedding ring.
Oh, wow, I didn't see that one. That's a nice one, too.
Oh, bless. Thank you. Very kind.
Look at that. You're like, oh, you're all pimped out, man.
Not as much as you.
No, I know. Now I'm like rock starred out right here. Yeah, so just kind of picking my brain and stuff, because I guess I'm a rare occurrence to see an American around here, I guess.
Yes, it was a rare visitor. Because we don't get many aliens here, or Americans.
Yeah, like Chewbacca.
Yeah, and the like. So I invited him to come back and just chat with me, because I wasn't trying to sell Matt. I just wanted to rap with him, really. That was my initial idea, and he accommodated me a day later, and he popped back in so we could have a chat, and it led to this. Okay.
Yeah, and then we just got talking, and he's just like such a wonderful soul, honestly, that, I just thought it would be great. I had really good chats, so I want to kind of like capture us kind of talking again. So it's just about life, spirituality, my little quest on what I was doing here in England, and be going back to my passions for comedy. Because long story short,
I was in London, and I haven't done comedy in like almost 7 years, because I was living vicariously through other people. I was living through my parents' lives, going to college for stuff. But yeah, I graduated pretty high up in my class. I was summa cum laude, but like it really wasn't for me. Like I honestly didn't want to be there. So
What does that mean to me? Cum laude. What does that really mean?
yeah, it's like Latin for like, I forget the exact term, but it's like an anointed title. Yes, student. There's cum laude, summa cum laude, the magna cum laude. So I'm like the second one.
And the one
actually.
the one who can rap or chat the most gets that summa cum laude.
I just wouldn't shut up, and they're like, give this kid something, you know. But yeah, man. So I hadn't done stand-up in so long, and then when I always liked English comedy and English culture, so when I went and did stand-up for the first time in that long, I couldn't believe I got the laughs I got, and the energy, and how I felt was amazing. Fucking broke this shit. So yeah, I'm Matt from America, and Joe Biden does not know I'm here. It's nice to know that we have a president that in the United States is both as dumber than George Bush and more senile than Ronald Reagan. And we had a strange phenomenon with Donald Trump. We had a messy-haired, politician. And then it looks like England did the same thing. You guys have Boris Johnson, right? Do you see that speech he had where he couldn't finish it, right? Here's a quick impression. This is my impression of Boris Johnson having sex reading the Kama Sutra. Forgive me. You guys have a drinking culture we don't have in the States. You mix alcohol with everything. There's like alcohol and coffee. You guys got alcohol in the post office? like why? You guys got like alcohol in the daycare center? I love England. I love the English accent. I actually used to use it to talk to girls in college. Yeah. So I used to actually, be so nervous that I'd ask where stuff is. Like, excuse me, do you know where the library is? In America, girls will just be like, oh my God, I'm taking my panties off right now. Even in the winter, I don't give a shit. Like, even if you use the Cockney accent, you know where the library is now. Oh my God, a soccer hooligan, I'm taking off again. How many panties do I have on? Jesus Christ. This isn't my first time in another country. I actually traveled to China. To China. I traveled to China, and one of the weird things is, when I went to China, I'm like, I can't be doing any Chinese accents, I don't want to be racist, I'm not going to go and do this, I'm not going to go make like weird accents and stuff like that. So, I'm with my brother, and I get into a taxi. We're in Ningbo, which is a city in China. And I'm not even kidding, dude. I was sitting in, and it was maybe like 30 seconds goes by, and the cabbie goes, you are from America? I was like, oh, yeah. And I tell people New York City, because they don't really know New Jersey. So I was like, yeah, we're from New York. So, oh, you from New York, you big, huge American penis. I'm like, just when I'm not going to go and do any of those things, I actually get a South Park episode in my car. I get a South Park episode in my car. So jigga means this, and nega means that. So I'm in an international college, and it's just pretty much me and 5 Americans. And I have a black friend named Charles. And when you're in China and you hear the jigga nega thing, and you're black and you're hearing, and my black friend was like, yo man, are they saying this to what I think they're saying? I was like, no man, this means this or this means that. He's like, I'm gonna beat some Chinese ass. I was like, jigga please. I was like, jigga please. There's a guy named Bohan. He was like the guy that was our guide, And we saw Bohan everywhere. I'd go to a bar and be like, yo dude, there's Bohan right there. I was like, leave him alone, On a little scooter. It's like, oh, there's Bohan. It's only about 5-10 Americans. The next day we're like, hey Bohan, we saw you over here, and over there. And he's like, no, I never, no.
I never went to any of those places.
And so basically you just find out that we didn't see Bohan anywhere, we're just a bunch of racist Americans that thought we saw Bohan.
We just realized that we're just a bunch of racist Americans. We never saw Bohan anywhere.
That's all my time, you have a fantastic.
Guys, thank you for my time.
And so that was like a rebirth for me in a lot of ways. In fact, this whole trip has been very spiritual and like a rebirth for me, honestly. So then, lo and behold, I meet him, and then we're talking about, you know, him being in the army, which we'll get to, spirituality. He was talking about meditation and stuff like that. So yeah, the whole experience has been pretty powerful for me. And so this is my first podcast to you understanding my coming back to doing comedy. So, how long were you actually in the army? We started talking about today, so let's just go with that.
I was in the army for 3 years. I signed on for 3, and when my term was coming to an end, I decided that I had enough of what the army had to give me and other external factors, so I decided to leave. Sign off, you know, which was well within my right, because I'd achieved a good service, and it was time to go. So I did.
So you were a driving regiment?
I was in driving.
What do you do with that? You actually drove, or you just like passengers and other stuff? Like, what is the positions?
Well, the main purpose of the driving regiment is to ferry anything, anywhere that requires something to be delivered. That could be petrol, that could be food, ammunition, but men. So it incorporated a lot of carrying and driving. So that was, I enjoyed it, but there were other factors which I don't really want to go into in this, which affected me quite strongly, and so anyway, I don't really want to go into that. You can edit that bit if you like.
So let's talk about the bookshop real quick. Like, how did this start, and you know, why do you call it No Ordinary Bookstore?
Well, my wife, it's really my wife's brainchild, and eventually I came in to give her support. Like today she has to be away somewhere else, so I'm looking after the shop today. And so, but it originally started about 15 years ago, and she was selling books casually, perhaps to friends and church communities. Then she had a little shop in Harrow, which is part of London, and that fell through, and she started doing books online, and that's gradually built up to this shop. But the real change was when that poor man was sacrificed. If you remember that occasion, I can't breathe.
Yes.
So, you remind me of this godlike entity that I used to know. He used to say, don't worry about it, don't worry about it, don't worry about it, don't worry about it. He used to say, don't worry about it, don't worry about it.
The I can't breathe situation, that was the real turning point, because after that, the sales went up so steeply, it was unbelievable. But it's a pity that someone had to be brutalized or sacrificed in order for book sales, in particular black book sales, to really shoot up exponentially. It was quite incredible.
Right, and just like, you know, it's a terrible thing too, like, you know, just the brutality of like the police. It's like, you know, it's always like a power thing, you know, whether whatever it is, you know, race aside, like it's just whether it's government or it's police, like it really is just this thing of like, I have power over you.
Indeed, and that's what that guy was showing, but the bad thing is that someone died, this poor guy died, but ironically, it was a good thing because it brought into focus quite sharply the aspect of black people. And And in particular at that time, people began looking for black books to get an understanding of black people. And soon after that, my wife transferred from mainly online to the bookshop.
She was online all the time. Wow.
Yeah, she was online for a long time. After the first bookshop faded, then she went online and she was traveling around selling them in person in various venues, community places, churches, and so forth.
What is like, your background, like your parents, were they from the Caribbean area? What was your ethnic background?
Both of our parents are from the West Indies. My wife's parents are St. Lucian, and my parents were Jamaicans. And I was born in Jamaica, but grew up in England.
You were actually born in Jamaica?
Yeah.
Oh, how cool is that?
Very nice. I came here so young, so I wasn't really culturized in Jamaican culture, because at 3, you don't know a lot, do you?
No.
So there's some vague memories, but most of my culture is from Jamaican culture, from relatives, friends who might have grown up there, and definitely the older generation who can tell you that one of the main feast of culture is their food.
Absolutely.
Because a number of West Indian food shops were in London, and then in Luton here, there are some outlets for West Indian food within the market. So yes, it's all a good food.
It's always the first really good thing in intro for people, for cultures, food, And yeah, because it gets you to really understand, oh, I enjoy this. It opens you up. And then language is another one. You go learn Spanish. I was in China. When you try and learn a language, it opens you up to understanding.
Indeed, yes, because Jamaicans in particular have this. They've really taken English language and used it in a way to express songs, speech. I think Jamaican has a lot of irony.
Does it?
Because, it's complicated.
So did you ever go, we went to Jamaica and went back, right? Obviously you want to get in touch with your roots. When did you go to Jamaica, first time?
I managed to get back after many years, in 2016. We visited some relatives in St. Thomas.
How was that?
It was really, you could say it was emotional, but because I'm a man and I don't want to cry, I realized I was holding things in a lot. I was being expressive, I was hugging and so forth, but I was still conservative, quite reserved, not as much as some of the relatives I met. You're a virtual stranger to people. They don't know how you're going to react when are you able to hug them? Are you able to kiss them? So they weren't sure how to react to me, so I broke that barrier and I gave people hugs and kisses and so forth, and I think I was more expressive and free than they were, because they just didn't know how to take me. The man who's been to England all his life, we've heard that English people are very reserved. I just broke that down and gave people hugs and kisses, and it was terrific, because when you go to a place where, community where 8% of the people that you're related to it's such a wonderful thing. But I was really moved to meet so many people that were related to me. It was like, also this is what it's like being home, isn't it? There was, I wasn't going to get reviews or something. I might get some ironic jest like, you're ugly, you're uglier than your father. Yeah, because I always thought my dad was a handsome guy. Oh, really? We do, and I wish that I looked more like him. We had these unusual coloured eyes, and I inherited brown eyes from my mother and him.
Yeah, brown eyes boring,
Well, sort of, but it's great for hot, radiant environments like desert. There's a winner there, somewhere. But one of my great aunts, when she saw me for the first time, she said, "Oh, Cecil, you've come home." And I was like, she thinks I'm my father, she thinks I'm my dad.
Oh, that's crazy.
She can see my dad in me. It's a long time since I've seen you, Cecil. I'm glad you've come home. I didn't even say, I'm not him, I'm Winston. I didn't even bother. I just let her, because she was a mature lady, right? And I didn't want to rattle her, shock her. It would have taken time for her to adjust to the realization that I wasn't her brother, I was his son. So I didn't even go there. I just took it on board and said, yes, I'm home for a holiday. I played along with it, you know? I think the rest of the people appreciate it.
Yeah, you're giving her more pleasure towards it.
Indeed, and I think she felt good.
Were there any like first foods you had that you never had when you went to Jamaica? Like I'm sure you had beef patties and stuff.
Oh gosh, yes, but I'll tell you what really thrilled me was the breakfast in the hotel.
Really?
Yeah, because as well as having North American, European-centric breakfast, you know, cereals and so forth, they had this wonderful variety of fruit. You know, jackfruit, mango, coconut, and some other fruit names that I've forgotten, but they had all these fruits in the dining hall in the morning. So every morning, first thing I'd have is a small bowl of fruit with yogurt on it. And then I would have a small cooked breakfast, so I was really revived and vibrant from the fruits, and then a little breakfast on top of that.
So they would eat like in the morning, they would eat a lot of fruit and stuff.
Well, for breakfast. Yeah.
For breakfast,
Us visitors, I was having fruit.
Okay.
Because it's very hard to get West Indian fruit in the UK, so I took full advantage of it. But what I noticed was that some people, my mum says, their eyes are bigger than their stomachs. What some of them were doing because they were so excited, they'd go to the dinner hall, have their plate, and you see a mountain of fried dumplings, like a mountain of fried dumplings on their plate because they love fried dumplings so much. But what happened then is they could perhaps eat 4 or 5, and the rest of it they would leave on the plate because they couldn't finish it. But sometimes people are just greedy. It's either greed or they don't realise that they can take less and enjoy it more. I tried the alternative. I tried less, a little fruit, a little yogurt, and maybe a little ackee and saltfish afterwards for a little, you know.
How swordfish taste? That's interesting.
Yeah, have you heard of it?
No, well, I've heard of it, but like eating swordfish is tasty.
Salted cod.
Oh, okay.
Jamaicans, they sell it here in the West Indian shop. They call it salt fish.
Okay.
But basically it's salted cod, or cod which has been salted and preserved. And what you're supposed to do is then soak it in warm water and take out the bones. Basically you're flaking it. And if you flake it, you have to take the bones out and then you mix it with the green called callaloo. And if you want, you can also put this other really rich Jamaican, call it a vegetable called ackee, which is a yellow thing. And mix that all in, so you have the fish, the greens, and this bright yellow ackee, you know, mixed into a dish. And it's really, in fact, it's the Jamaican national dish, ackee and saltfish.
Oh, wow.
But with the callaloo, it's an extra vibrant thing. Because callaloo is like spinach.
Oh.
But a little bit more bitter. But what it does is that it's a real vibrant green. It's really uplifting, vibrant green, probably full of so much vitamins, minerals. It's a real Jamaican.
That's actually very healthy. It just felt pretty good.
I sure did. So every day I was really, I was bouncing, you know, like I feel so good. I feel so wonderful. This breakfast just sets you up for the day. So after that, I didn't really need to eat at 12 o'clock. We go for breakfast about 8. 12 o'clock will come. I'll be like, I say to my wife, no, let's not go to dinner. Let's go to the evening meal or late afternoon meal because I'm still full from the breakfast. I mean, you can have other things. You can buy things like biscuits and coffee, so you can take it back to your room. You can have that in between if you've got hungry. But the breakfast really tided me over for the most of the day. It was pretty terrific. But prior to breakfast, one of my favourite activities, if I can change the subject,
Sure.
was to do, because the sunrise is quite early in Jamaica and it's warm, not hot, lovely and warm. So every morning about 6:30, 7 o'clock, I'd be at the front of my room doing my breathing, doing my Qigong work. And you'd notice a few other people perhaps swimming because the sea was about 150 yards from the hotel. So every morning I was outside doing my various little Qigong breathing and stretching, and I felt really terrific.
It's fantastic. It's another thing we connected on to the Qigong. I practice Qigong, and he was telling me, since it's very unusual that you meet other people that actually practice that kind of thing. So you said you first got into it. How did you first get into the whole idea of the Qigong? Was it the temple, or like how did it start?
I'll give you that. The Qigong started after or during the time that I was practicing martial arts. Yes? And you get friendly with a few guys. The Qigong started when I practiced martial arts. I was actually attending the London Shaolin Temple, having a real good time of it. So a few of the guys got talking, and then one day one of them invited me to told me that he found a Qigong class, and would I like to come along with him, about 4 or 5 of the guys. So yeah, I was pretty excited because I'd always wanted to do Qigong. It's fascinating, mysterious thing that I'd heard about.
Right, remember you were saying like it was like, is this magic? Or you were thinking before you did it? Right?
Because of for whatever reason, I had come to associate Qigong with some kind of esoteric, kind of magical, high thing. And anyway, we get to this guy's house, we're invited in, and we start the Qigong. And I'm like, but there's no magic here. Where's the magic? Because my mistaken thinking was I was going to become imbued with some kind of amazing experience. But the actual experience was breathing and stretching rather than magic. And I spoke to the teacher afterwards. I said I misled myself, and I was misled by some other people that Qigong was some kind of had something to do with black magic or something. So he explained that sometimes people do get misled for whatever reason, but Qigong is basically a health-giving exercise, and to prolong it through your life will invigorate you and strengthen you. Whilst you can't do certain other robust exercises, you might not be able to go to the gym or do martial arts because it's quite dynamic. But you can always do Qigong. You don't need to stand up to do it. I could even just do it as I'm sitting down here, without any physical harm coming to myself. Try that in a gym. If you're doing a squat or a curl or something, right? If you don't do it just right, you're asking for trouble.
Right, and you have no effect with it. Because the whole thing with me with martial arts is like, there's, especially when I think the East translation to the West, like they teach you the hard style of punching or kicking, but like this is an internal martial art, So it's very, how do you say, like, there was supposed to be one thing at one time. One's supposed to help the other. And that's why you get so much better really at the martial art when you have the Qigong with it. Even if you don't know any martial arts, like the pure breathing, there's many different forms, by the way. Like before I was telling Win over here that I was doing a breath Qigong. It's the one I knew for like 6 years or whatever. And then, interestingly enough, I got sick in England here. I have a stomach disease that I had since I was 18. I inherited it from my father genetically. And long story short, basically it's a disease where I throw up all fluids in food and I can't get any medicine into my body. And I'd have to do resort to snuff medicine. It's terrible.
Did you?
Now I'm healed. All mysticism right here. But yeah, funny enough that I had a seafood that I trained with in China, long story short, and he's had a vision or something where my older brother Phil, who is the one that worked in China and made me meet him, he said that your brother has an incredible health problem. He's going to die before 40. And I was like, well, how do you know? And he said that they did this long distance healing diagnostic. And I have like a Reiki background, so I was familiar with like holistic stuff. So I was like, oh, teach me, you know? And this is before I got sick. And he showed me through videos this like incredibly simple, almost like how you're doing. You can sit there and do it, very statue, because Qigong, Tai Chi is more like more complicated movements. Qigong more like, in my opinion, mimics more nature, like how a tree grows and then, you know, how it can die. So like your air is going up and then you're collapsing your body for that. And so this was a whole thing of taking the energy, whether it's from you or around nature, and bringing it to your diaphragm, and they call it dantian, and you're building this energy in your body, and eventually you actually can utilize it. I remember you were talking about that too. So the interesting thing is that like this is incredible for healing your health in your body. Like, I had no medication. I could have died. Like that's how crazy it was. But this natural, holistic medicine that's been lost for like 10,000 years, thousands, whatever, of years, and then here I am, I'm learning this, and I only knew the breath form, but this other thing of actually taking in that energy and putting it in my body to heal my stomach, it almost sounds like it's like some phooey, like hippie hipster stuff, but like it's completely like true, and it's incredible. So yeah, go ahead.
The good thing is that Qigong is not a matter of believing. You know, I've heard that some things are a matter of belief, or you've got to have faith in it. It works regardless of faith or belief. Because my breath works. As we're sitting here, we're breathing. Regardless of our belief, it works because that's how our body is constructed. Qigong works in a very similar way, I think. If I do a posture in order to achieve something, it's going to work regardless of belief, you know? It will work because that's how our body is constructed, and that's a very interesting thing about Qigong.
Absolutely. And you know, it's autonomic, breathing's autonomic, you know, like, but the conscious, in my opinion, it's conscious breathing, you know, it's like a higher brain thing, like animals can't really achieve. Yeah, because you're consciously like putting an intention to go change your breath, change your heart rate. Like a dog can't do that.
It's not autonomic, is it?
No, it no longer becomes just something you can control now. Yes.
So you're controlling that breath or that posture. You create certain change in the body, don't you?
Absolutely.
It could be to expel toxins, especially from the lungs. I mean, when you do the deep breathing, you said that you go right down into the stomach, and you expel everything. And if you do breathing in, holding it to the top of the lungs, like, and all the way up there, and then you take another little breath when you think you're right at the top. You'd be surprised how hard that is to convey to somebody who has no idea.
Exactly.
I was showing my brother-in-law recently hurt his trapezium muscle, you know, the back muscle, and I was showing him simple this Qigong relaxation twisting. I want to get up and do it, but I was showing him this.
Sure.
This simple movement. Yeah,
yeah.
And then I said to him, you don't seem very relaxed, yeah? I think, and I said, put your arm up, you know, and I said, relax. And he went, and I said, no, it should be like this. If you're relaxed, your hand should just flop, you know? Morning. But he was finding it so hard to just do that. And I said, you have a hard time trusting, don't you?
That's interesting.
But I related a story to him from my martial arts. One day, my first martial arts teacher, Taekwondo teacher, he was doing a demonstration. He said, put your hand up. into a fist, put it up, and relax. And what I did, I relaxed my arm, but I didn't relax it. I kept it there. So your arm should drop, and I thought, you're right, you know, because I don't know what I was thinking about, but anyway, I was holding the arm up there, and everyone was laughing like, relax. I'm like, yeah, that's relaxing.
Yeah, wow, look at that.
But I experienced the same thing with my brother-in-law recently.
It's very interesting. Yeah, because like when you're relaxed, you can be fast, you know? If I just punch like this, but if I go like that, it's all like a whip, because you're letting yourself
Yes, indeed.
relax.
There's a greater speed there, isn't
Sure.
And probably a greater effect as well.
Absolutely. That's another thing that was kind of cool, because like, you know, I do martial arts, I have a different channel for doing that, and then here he had Qigong background. You always have somebody that's into martial arts that goes into the Qigong thing, which is pretty cool.
Which made our rapport quite dynamic and interesting.
Yes. I mean, maybe you don't want to go into this, so I'll just say it, but part of his story, which I thought was very interesting, is that, like, he doesn't look like it, because you obviously look to me very healthy. If you never told me this, I would never know. He had a stroke 15 years ago.
Indeed, yeah.
And he is incredibly mobile and he doesn't even look his age, which I won't go into his age. But,
Please don't.
but no, the Qigong is so amazing for what it does to you. Like, he's mixing like physio with it, which I kind of do that too for my neck. And it's quite incredible what you can get out of it, you know, for your whole life, really.
I was also lucky to meet another person. Like 40 years ago, when myself and my cousin, my peer cousin, started doing taekwondo for self-defense, I suppose. And his older brother, who was about 2 or 3 years older, used to criticize the fact that we were doing martial arts. Oh, you don't want to do that nonsense. If anyone comes to me with karate, I just knock them out.
That's ridiculous.
Because they thought it was a load of fooey nonsense.
Right.
And funnily enough, that same guy who criticized us, after we parted as teenagers, he went away, did some traveling, and he's now a third degree black belt in that Korean art.
So that, Taekwondo, right?
No, the other one.
Pseudo, there's, what's the other one? Hapkido?
He uses swords, things like that.
Oh wow, yeah, I forget what that's called. But
Anyway,
that's cool.
I've forgotten the name, but he attained a third degree black belt in this art. Plus, there was strong Qigong influence, which he shared with me. So he was showing me different movements as well in the Qigong. So I had 2 people that I can talk to, or will occasionally send me videos of interesting Qigong movements, you know. So I have those 2 great influences. And I think that over the 15 years, if I wasn't doing Qigong, I wouldn't be as trim as I am, I wouldn't be as healthy as I am, and I'd be far less mobile. I wouldn't be as mobile, I wouldn't be walking around as I do, even though I do have residual stroke effect, you know, especially on my left side. But had I not done Qigong, I couldn't have done martial arts because the movements were too demanding. But with the Qigong, I can do my internal stuff, I can do stretches like in yoga, I can do breathing. And I know that there's a lot of people with stroke, some of whom are bedbound. However, if there were a possibility, I could even show them Qigong. I mean, just because you're bedbound or paraplegic or whatever, it doesn't stop somebody from sharing Qigong with you, because Qigong could just be about breathing and tensing my internal muscles. Because when I do my stomach Qigong for the Dantian region, I'm actually also massaging my kidneys, and to some extent I'm massaging my liver as well. We went through the
You don't have to if you don't want to.
I could.
Go ahead if you want. Let me see if this is still on, by the way, too.
I seem interested to just...
Yeah, go ahead.
Right, so I've got my top.
If you want, yeah.
Yeah, okay. If I do this, for instance, and I pull in, yeah, I'm pulling in from the sphincter, and I'm also pushing down with the diaphragm. So it's pulling here, push down. So I'm creating a strong pressure around here by pulling up there and pressing down. So there is, you almost get this kind of effect, especially if I then start to do.
Ah, there you go.
If I'm doing that, then I'm getting two motions, opposing motions, and you're really affecting what goes on in this region, especially in the back. It's also, if you've heard of iron shirts, have you heard of iron shirts?
Yes.
Yes. This exercise can be related to the iron shirt technique, which I don't really know, and I'm not going to pretend I know. But,
Right. But yeah, because the iron shirt thing is like, hitting areas and break sticks and stomach stuff. So I don't know that either, but it is quite interesting.
it relates to that anyway.
Let's segue into the me and him were talking about meditation, but the retreat is interesting. But what do you get? What do you personally get out of meditation?
I get a constant state of balance from meditation. Because prior to, without becoming too elaborate, prior to the meditation, if something went wrong, I'd be there. If something went right, I'd be there. Oh, give me more, give me more. So, we tend to graduate between these two opposite positions, don't we? Happy, sad. If it goes well, we're happy and we hold on to it. And if it goes badly, we're sad and we try and push it away. In the kind of meditation I learned, after I let go of the nonsense bit, like meditation will give you wonderful feelings, you'll feel wonderful, euphoria, it's like having an orgasm, but it wasn't like that. I didn't get that at all, and I was a bit disappointed. After my first 10-day retreat, I was like, where's this wonderful feeling? Why aren't I euphoric? Let's not go away.
Sure. But yeah, it's like there's so much benefit that you get out of meditation, and it's I consider it kind of the most personal thing you can almost do for yourself. It's taking the care and the time for your mind, for your body, and a lot of people, they don't like to be left with their own thoughts.
Oh, no.
The wandering thoughts, that was what we were talking about a lot.
Yeah.
Because it's hard.
The old monkey mind, yeah?
Yeah, the wandering monkey mind.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Or the wild horse mind.
Well, yeah, it's even better probably. Yeah, I think that's a better metaphor actually.
Good at.
Yeah.
Good at. But my initial reason for doing meditation was that I was in a bit of a rocky relationship. And becoming a bit very sensitive, not in a nice way. Like we were triggering each other off,
So it's you and a girlfriend. How old were you at the time?
I was 35. And it just was not a very nice place to be. We were arguing, fighting and so forth. And I thought, I don't want to remain in this situation if this is all we're going to do. We're together for the next 20 years. We're killing each other and destroying each other emotionally, maybe physically if one of us decided to get really violent. So I decided to, I read an article in the Sunday Times newspaper, and it was of a journalist who went to the retreat, and she said that she had such a hard time because she relates that in many instances she was thinking about Shakespeare. Instead of doing the actual meditation, she was so distracted she was thinking about Shakespeare, reciting Shakespeare. And I thought, I could do that, I can go there, and I wouldn't be thinking about Shakespeare, I'd be doing the lessons. Anyway, I applied, and I went to this 10-day retreat. I tell them about the baby.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a part of it. It's part of the whole experience. That was really funny, actually. I like that part of it.
The funniest thing, it shows how I wasn't paying attention. When you go to the retreat, you make certain promises and vows. One of them is to not hurt any animal or any creature while you're there. That means not swatting flies, not killing spiders because they've got horrible 8 legs and they snuffle around. Things like that.
No eye contact?
No eye contact, no speech, no signals like this. Do you think the camera will get it?
Yeah, for sure.
Hey. Anyway, the first morning comes now, and I do what I'm supposed to do. I wake up at 4:30. Yeah? I wake at 4:30 and I do my early morning meditation. And then you have a wash and you go for breakfast. Now here's the hilarious bit that shows that our attention, when we come in fresh, my attention at the time wasn't where it should have been. So I'm in a breakfast hall and I get some coffee and I have my coffee and now I decide that I'd like bacon and eggs. So I go back and I'm looking around for bacon and eggs, and I look at my other meditators and everybody's walking around like this, eyes down, and I think, well, I can't ask anyone for the bacon and eggs because we're not allowed to speak. What do I do? Panic, panic, panic. And then I reflected on the vow promise that we made was not to hurt any creature, directly or indirectly. And if I'd had bacon and eggs, then I would have been indirectly contributing to some animal being slaughtered. And that kind of woke me up. And I think after that was my most, one of the most non-meditative enlightenment. You pay attention, right? When somebody's advising you or giving you an instruction, giving you attention, and you don't make silly errors like looking for bacon in a vegetarian environment.
Like it was killing him. He wanted to go and talk to anybody about it.
It was great. Really, really silly, but it taught me.
And it was amazing when you told me you went there many times and how difficult it was, but what you got out of it. And every time it was a different kind of, like trouble or a different issue within yourself.
Sure. On the second occasion, I invited a friend to come with me, and she came. She was enthusiastic to come because she'd always wanted to do meditation. So she came with me. And of course, once you're there and the meditation starts, girls stay there and guys stay there. Anyway, the 10-day meditation went. The first thing she said to me afterwards was, "Don't invite me to this place again." And I was like, really? She must have been so shocked by the whole experience. That was the first thing that came out of her mouth. Anyway, surprisingly, we didn't see each other for about 3 weeks to a month. Then I phoned her up to have a little chat, and she said, the first thing she said was, "Thanks for phoning, when are we going again?" And I was a bit perplexed. From "don't invite me" to "when are we going again?" Anyway, it's been, it's been about 15 years since she first came with me to the meditation. And occasionally when we do speak, she'll say, "Are we going to go meditation again?" And I say, I'm not a special escort, or I'm not a special inviter. Whoever wants to go can arrange to go. So if you wish to go, you can go with somebody else or go by yourself. But at this time I can't go because it's not in line with what I'm doing, you know? And she will continuously kind of ask me in a nice way, "Are we going to go again?"
What was her issue, you think, was she looking for bacon too? Or you think she had a moment? Like, who knows?
Maybe she was looking for hash browns.
Is there a McDonald's in this place?
Yeah, I think she was looking for something.
That's
Meditation, like I said, 10 days meditation. meditation is it's not a toy. It's not a playful experience. It's actually deliberate and focused work. Because if you're meditating from, say, 4:30 in the morning, with breaks until the end, which is like, say, 7:30.
Let me just cut you for 1 second.
Yeah.
Because this is the interesting part that you said before, was like, when you meditated, was it 8 hours?
Yes, you got an 8-hour day.
They think that you just meditate for 8 hours straight. That's not the case.
No. You meditate for an hour at a time. But in between that meditation, you have breaks, you have lunch, you do a lot of normal things, and the meditation periods are only an hour long. So after and it's a funny, I would say it's not really funny, but it has humorous moments. It has funny outcome. Because like, for the first, say, 3 days, you're sitting and you're focusing on your breath, you know? And you're focusing on the sensitivity of the breath, going in, see you later, and feeling it, and then using it. Because when you breathe, you notice you feel the breath chill, it's going into your nostril, and then it goes in, and beyond that it becomes warm. So you're sitting there, you're very comfortable sitting, because I used to build a nest. I had literally 5 cushions, 2 underneath, some on the side, so you're using a plus a blanket, you know, because after hours sit you can become quite chilled. So you're sitting there, and what happens is your muscles start to try to move, and you can feel the nerves working like an electric current.
It was a pain. It was painful, right?
It was painful in some cases. But here again is the lesson of paying attention. Our instructions were, when you feel the discomfort, don't come out of posture because it's uncomfortable. You remain in the posture and watch what happens. And when you watch discomfort from sitting, gradually the discomfort goes away. It becomes smaller and smaller until it goes. So you're able to sit for longer and longer periods without fidgeting, without stretching your legs. And what that was teaching you, or supposed to be teaching us, was not to run away from unpleasant things. If you remain calm when you're faced with unpleasant things, the more calm you remain, the more, or the quicker, the discomfort will go away and become nothing. You're left with a balanced state, right, mind, rather than a panicked state, like, this really hurts. I must admit that for the first few times I felt pain from the sitting posture, I would come out of posture and stretch, then go back into posture. But I kept doing this for the first few days, and then gradually I'm thinking, they repeat it. When you feel the discomfort, you watch what happens, and you'll see that the pain becomes diminished. If you try to run from it, like by stretching out, you're not remaining calm, you're giving into it. So that was the most crucial lesson in how to remain calm, balanced, and under pressure.
Right, like your words you were telling me yesterday were like, that's like people in life, they run away from stuff that's painful. And that's the life lesson it was teaching you right there.
Indeed, yes.
Very, very interesting.
Imagine if myself and my previous girlfriend had that. In moments of crisis where we wanted to verbalize each other, or tempted to attack each other, scratches or hits, if we'd remained calm, that feeling of anger would have diminished. That is the essential lesson that I
When you said after you got done with this, your relationship with her, the dynamic changed to say how you that
It did, because I changed. The dynamic changed because I went back refreshed and basically renewed. She hadn't been on a retreat, she didn't come with me on a retreat. I felt it was important for me to change myself, not for me to try to change her. Why don't you be nicer? Why don't you be a good girlfriend like I've heard about on TV or in the movies? So I thought it was more essential that I change. I thought the problem was me. And so I sorted it out. I went away on the retreat because I wanted to change myself. People do things should do things to change themselves, not change the other person. It's important that we change here and back. I feel that's what the first 10-day retreat done for me. It made me calmer. I was able to not get into you've never experienced it, but sometimes I've experienced it where I used to get into a bad mood. There's something happened. I've been in a bad mood maybe the last days or hours. And I'd be fighting it, saying, why doesn't it go? Why doesn't it go? But the more I fought against it, the more it would come back. It's similar to if I said, don't think about dolphins.
I'm already thinking about a dolphin. Thinking about Flipper and shit. You know?
It's a similar thing like that. The more you try not to do the thing, it's the more the anger will stay in. So again, this was a lesson for me from meditation to realize what's going on, realize that I'm feeling angry, and stay there and look at it. Know why you're feeling angry because there's anger in us, and this is how you react. I allow my emotions to take a hold and pull me there, and then afterwards, after a day or two of feeling miserable, I then start feeling good. I think it'd be nice, and I'd be like, oh, this is nice, let me hold on to it. Again, this is the wrong lesson. Because I was holding on to the nice feeling as opposed to just watching it and remaining calm and balanced. As the nice feeling comes, I can enjoy it for what it is. I don't hold on to it like it's something precious because everything changes. Good becomes nice, becomes nasty, nasty becomes nice, and if we're constantly running to one and the other, we're not remaining balanced.
Yeah, it's a powerful lesson. It's a powerful lesson. I want to go over two things and we're done, right? So I just want to talk about comedy a little bit. What's the guy's name?
WC Field.
So I'm just gonna, I love the British humor. When I met, when he drove me to the Luton museum, and he was like, "All right, Matt, we're here. I'm just gonna give you a drive-by kick, And I thought that was so fun.
Yeah.
So I just love that, and that's that little bit of, like in America, we don't really get that slapsticky kind of humor like that. So it's odd.
It's well ingrained. To some extent.
To some extent. Who you talk to,
Yeah, depending.
So that was someone you grew up. I mean, we talk about other ones too, but let's start, I guess, with him. So you grew up with that, right?
That is the kind of thing we'd occasionally see on TV, like in the 60s and 70s when I was a kid, along with other comedians like Marx Brothers.
Yes, I love Marx Brothers.
Bob Hope and Dean. I used to love the Bob Hope and Dean Crosby road. As a child, you wonder about things, you question. And one of the things I used to notice was I loved Bob Hope at the time, but Dean Crosby always got a girl. He always got Sophia anyway, he always got the girl, and I was like, but Bob is so much more funny and friendly. Why doesn't he get the girl? Have you ever seen him in the road?
Yes, I saw a little bit.
More steady. Bob was just a all-out idiot sometimes, but that was his full character. He probably always ended up getting the girl. And I was like, that's not fair. Bob was much nicer and more funny. Bob should get the girl. my sense of childish injustice was outraged. You know? I'm probably all of about 8 years old, and these movies used to come on a Sunday. So it was parents would put you in front of the TV and go and do the cooking or something. You could
You know, the old school comedy has like, that seems to be a lot more one-liners, quicker. Especially, what were a couple of jokes that he did, I can remember, but like, even in the early thing, like one of the first things was like, do you love me? And he's like, of course I love you. He's like, ready to smack him. He's like, no son of mine's gonna tell me. He's like, what's wrong with you? No son of mine's gonna tell me I don't love him.
What's the matter, Pop? Don't you love me anymore?
Certainly I love you.
Don't you strike that child.
Well, he's not gonna tell me I don't love him.
You know, it's like, and he was American, but it was very slapstick. Like, it almost seemed like Abbott and Costello mixed with like a British humor, but it was totally American. And I've never seen him over in American television, so it's interesting that he was over here.
You know what I'd say in relation to what you're saying, you've never seen WC probably central, and I think he came in just after talking. I think he may have been a silent era type of
Transition.
yeah, so he transitioned to film quite
And if you don't know, like, that's actually Charlie Chaplin, who was really well known. He couldn't make that transition. You know, so like, that's actually quite incredible.
So I think that's what he done, whereas other people didn't. So they faded out, and he kind of remained in the spotlight. But you know, he was, his work had to be quite seriously edited. I mean, we may look at WC Fields and think, oh, that's so harmless. But the censors apparently used to cut his work, yeah.
He also continually pushed the censors in telling jokes that were considered pretty risque for the time.
I am the Countess de Puissy.
The Countess de Pussy?
Monsieur, no. De Puissy, le Countess de Puissy.
Oh, quite so, quite so.
I'm a married man with a grown daughter, 18 years of age.
Oh, I'd like to meet her. I'm very fond of children. Girl children, around 18 and 20.
This boat was launched in 1881. So was my wife, but she's still seaworthy. She's probably got barnacles all over. The boat, I mean.
Wife home a present, a little pet of some kind. Women are crazy about pets.
They're just crazy. Pets having a thing to do with it.
Because they thought it was a bit too edgy, a bit threatening, a bit too sexy or whatever.
You know, it's funny because there's a thing at the end. He's doing like this, I don't know what you call it, a freak show or whatever. And he's like, here we have the world's biggest midget and the world's smallest giant, or like whatever it was. And he's just lying. And then like, yeah, you know, I guess those type of things were really edgy at the time. And then you look at that now, like, what? That's nothing, you know?
And especially, particularly if there was a lady, you know, I think in the olden days, that they took more liberties with sexist behaviour or sexist comment, almost misogynistic, you know? And I think that's the kind of thing they kind of edited strongly. You might recall the one where he's sitting in a diner.
Oh, yes.
And this scatty...
she was funny.
Yeah, she was. The doctor said I had something wrong with my brain, the back of my head or something. that was a cracker.
Yes, and then what was it? It was like the bone in your head, and she kept going. It's like you know people like that. And you're just oblivious that you like don't want to talk to them, or you know. Oh yeah, that was one of the funniest parts. She was good too. That dynamic between the two.
Yeah, she was probably a comedian in her own right.
Yes.
But I absolutely have never seen her or heard of her.
Yeah.
So she probably faded out and went somewhere else.
So who are other comedians that you like, right? Obviously Bob Hope, you like.
Yeah,
Groucho Marx.
She looks as healthy as any woman I've ever met.
You don't look as though you ever met a healthy woman.
What?
You're the man I've been dreaming of.
What do you eat before you go to bed?
Remember, you're fighting for this woman's honor, which is probably more than she ever did.
Why don't you go home to your wife? I'll tell you what, I'll go home to your wife, and outside of the improvements, you'll never know the difference.
Can you sleep on your stomach with such big buttons on your pajamas?
So, you didn't think I was a real detective, eh?
If you're a detective, I'm a monkey's uncle.
Keep your family out of this. Did anyone ever tell you you look like the Prince of Wales? I don't mean the present Prince of Wales, one of the old Wales. And believe me, when I say Wales, I mean whales. I know a whale when I see one. Well, all the jokes can't be good. You've got to expect that once in a while. You guys go to your rooms. I'll be down shortly.
Can you tell me the price of this bed?
$8,000.
Well, that's preposterous. I can get the same bed anywhere in town for $25.
Yes, but not with me in it.
What experience have you had in a department store?
I was a shoplifter for 3 years. If you weren't smaller than me, I'd flog the daylights out of it.
But I'm bigger than you.
Well, that's another reason. This magnificent chest. This magnificent chest. I'm the plumber. I'm just hanging around in case something goes wrong with our pipes. That's the first time I've used that joke in 20 years. Is it true you're getting a divorce as soon as your husband recovers his eyesight? Is it true you wash your hair in clam broth? Is it true you used to dance in a flea circus?
This is outrageous.
We took some pictures of the native girls, but they weren't developed. But we're going back again in a couple of weeks. But look at me. I've worked myself up from nothing to a state of extreme poverty. Now, what do you say?
What are you doing with that cigar in your mouth?
Why, do you know another way to smoke it? I'll see you at the theater tonight. I'll hold your seat till you get there. After you get there, you're on your own. And don't point that beard at me. It might go off.
Oh, throw me the lifesaver. Oh, Professor Wagstaff. Please, hurry, Professor.
Anything further, Father? Anything further, Father? That can't be right. Isn't it anything farther further? Faravelli, you've got the brain of a 4-year-old boy, and I bet he was glad to get rid of it.
You're awfully shy for a lawyer.
You bet I'm shy. I'm a shyster lawyer.
I'm going there soon, you know.
Is that so? Where are you going?
Uruguay.
Well, you go Uruguay and I'll go mine. Fancy seeing you here. Well, it's a small world after all.
Boogie, boogie, boogie.
You mind if I don't smoke? One morning, I shot an elephant in my pajamas. How he got in my pajamas, I don't know.
He even had outside the Marx Brothers, like he used to do like variety shows.
Well, now, suppose you became a famous actress and then you met somebody you liked and got married. Would you be willing to quit acting and be a housewife and a mother?
Well, I think if you keep your feet on the ground, you can combine both. That's what I would like to do.
Well, if you keep your feet on the ground, you'll never be a mother. I see. There's 3 kinds of...
There are 3 kinds of singers, yes.
There's professional, amateur, and crane plumbing, in other words.
The crane plumbers, I tell them to go back home. Yes.
Well, they usually have the best pipes of all, you know. You have a scientific bent, huh?
No.
I would think so. Did you ever meet a fellow named, what was his name, Joe Sexauer? From Alaska?
Oh, you're pulling my leg.
Huh?
You're pulling my leg.
No, I'd be glad to.
I used to model maternity clothes about a month ago.
You modeled what?
Maternity clothes.
Maternity clothes.
Well, anybody can model maternity clothes.
Well, he couldn't, for example. John, are potatoes really fattening?
No, sir. It's what you put on that's fattening.
What do you mean?
Oh, butter, gravy, cheese. But if you put that on a mattress, it'll fatten you too.
That's one of the few things I've never had on a mattress.
I want you to lay down on the bench.
That's what I want you to do.
It's always so quick and fun.
You seem to be quite funny, intelligent.
For sure.
It's easy to assume that's scatty because they're telling jokes. Because they are. But he actually seems to be able to back it up with some really insightful comments. If you ever watch any of Groucho's stuff, you see it through itself.
Absolutely. It's probably one of my favorite old school, it's like the Stooges are good, but it's like, it's very physical comedy.
Indeed, very much slapsticky, rough and tumble.
Yes, that's the and I love it, don't get me wrong, but there's a different level, I thought. Did you say it was Dave, I think, but do you like Woody Allen came over here a lot? Woody Allen?
Yeah, I used to love Woody Allen when I was growing up, especially that really funny movie that we did. Me and my dear cousin again, who did the martial arts, we went to see it. All you want to know about sex, I was too frightened to ask. And like, we were so excited to go and see that. We were like 15 or 16. And our expectation, this film is really going to teach us about sex. No. Because teenagers always want to know the nitty-gritty of sex. What's it about?
You know, you're curious as girls, you know, you're at that perfect age.
How can I be make girls want me? Yeah. It doesn't work like that. But we had the only one I really recall, the sketch that I recalled from was
Well, this looks like it. You guys know what it's like out there? It's like they told us in training school. It's an ovum. I'm scared. I don't want to go. This is what all this training was for. Yeah, but who knows what it's going to be like out there? You saw slides in class. Yeah, but you hear these strange stories, you know, like there's this pill these women take, or sometimes the guys will slam their heads up against a wall of hard rubber. Oh, that's nonsense. What if it's a homosexual encounter? Look, this is no time to doubt our mission. You took an oath when you entered sperm training school to fertilize an ovum or die trying. No, I'm scared. I don't want to go out there.
You just gotta see it for yourself. It's very classic, you know. I want to talk now about. I was with his wife the other day, Angel, and she has. I was talking to her about like books and spirituality. When I was talking with you, I was eyeballing that comic book. I thought I was pretty interested in that. So I bought a couple books, and she took me to the museum, and it's all this Black history, you know. And so I'm actually from King University. It got an award from Obama as one of the most diverse colleges in the United States. There's a lot of cultures in North Jersey. So when I went there, like, you wouldn't believe how many things that they just don't, like Edison with the light bulb, for example. A black man had more to do with that. You go on a History Channel, they say that Edison took it from Tesla, where this is not the case here. There are so many contributors of like scientists that were black. The GPS system from this woman who was a mathematician, I had no idea about in the 1930s. And you think about your phone, the GPS, and you go somewhere, and you would never think that a black woman or that anyone of color would have made something that today you're using right now, all the time.
Even that really eye-opening expose called Hidden Figures. Those 4 black women working with NASA.
Yes.
You know, to work out the trajectory of the spacecraft.
That's right. The trajectory of how it landing for the moon and all that stuff. And
I was really bored by that. I was like thrilled by that. And I was thinking, where are the guys? Where are the men? The only conclusion I could come to was that men were probably off doing something else. But these girls probably did all their homework, you know.
Yeah.
Because women are so less rebellious than we are, especially I think that women can be less rebellious. We seek a more
I don't know if it's a hunter-gathering thing, like we gotta go, kill, whatever, and then they're more like, we're gonna sit here and kind of be more into our own thing, maybe reserved. But yeah, no, it was just so fascinating. And so there was even a race car driver I never heard. Yeah. Stuff like that.
That's right. He's a young man. I think he's been on the scene for about 6 years now. His name I've forgotten.
Yeah, me too. But it was so fascinating, man, from all the different scientists. I even had a couple that cheated, you know. Like who invented the idea for refrigeration was a black man. Yeah, I mean, think about it. We were about food and how cold it was, and how they used to just use ice and things like that. Like here was some, and then another one I wanted her to check out was, see, when you think of Greek mythology, it's all a bunch of white people.
Yeah.
There is an amazing story that they kind of took out or don't talk about, and the name of this person is Memnon. Memnon was an Ethiopian king that was half related to King of Troy, and he was the only one that was Achilles' equal. and he actually wounds Achilles and makes Achilles feel like he becomes out of ego. Because eventually, like, I won't ruin it, but you have to, there's a big fight that they have. I mean, they could make a movie on this. That's the, I was talking to your wife, and she's like, you probably won't.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
Movie on just with Achilles and Memnon.
Just on a Memnon?
Because
sure, just have it just Memnon.
Trojan Wars is one beast of a book to read. I found it. So in order to work out, tweak out the interesting relationship, you have to read it quite thoroughly, like a detective, you know, because there's a lot of things in the Trojan Wars which I've missed, because I thought it mostly concerned Achilles smacking Hector outside of Troy and then dragging him around on the...
Yeah, you know, it has a bunch. Like you have Homer with the Odyssey, and you have the so there's a couple different stories there. But you're right, it must be so vast that like Memnon gets lost in it.
Yeah.
But to be like really frank here, like how cool is it that you have like an equals to Achilles? He's the only one that wounds Achilles, and so it shows you how powerful he is. He's like a demigod now. So it's quite fascinating that it was never talked about. And that's like another thing. There's like a black king, and you know something really cool. Like you know, I'd watch that. You know, and you know, it just sucks, man. How much? What is history? It's written by the winners, and then it's also the perspective of who's teaching it. You know, and you know, I hate to say it, but like it's very. There's a very biased look in history a lot of times.
Indeed, a distortion. But yourself as a historian, you can redress something like that.
A lot of it, people don't know. People don't know the effect that, like, you know, she had the journalist, this one journalist, the first black. Actually, there's two really interesting things. I'm gonna go with the kid, the British pound here. The design, I don't even have a pound. I wish I had it. The design, this kid was a young 15-year-old black. He designed, oh, you have it right there. The whole design for the pound. He gets no credit for it. And that was quite fascinating. Right here. I'll show the camera here, like, you know, yeah, Queen of England on the side, whatever, but, you know, this 15-year-old kid designed how this looks. And when you're over here in England, like, you know, they use this quite a bit, even over a paper knife. But yeah, I thought that was fascinating. And then, what was it? You know, there's this journalist, she was the first journalist in the UK. She was the first black journalist. And then they took her off because, you know, like you say, they didn't want, you know, a person of color. And it's just like, it's so terrible. Like, you know, and you know how far we've come now as well. And even at a comic book, like she is a half white and half black. Now that's an accepted thing. Where like now it's like a novelty, cute thing. Where back in maybe the 80s and prior to that, that's really taboo. You know?
Yes, it still was even in the 80s. It was quite you know, looked at around that. I suppose there's still residual negativity towards mixed race. It's something that we have to work out.
And you know, I'm going to say two things that a lot of people don't realize. Skin, like we're going to talk about genetics here. The color of your skin, it's only 1% of genetics. Yet we fight over that stuff. Isn't that stupid? And then the other thing about mixing the races, scientifically, even when they do botany for plants, the more you mix anything, like a dog, like whatever, the more you mix races, there's more. You're more immune against diseases. You get more intelligent. You get longer lifespans. You know, so it's like it's kind of a ridiculous notion. I mean, I even went to China. They only want, you know, they don't want anyone straight Chinese. They don't want to marry anything outside of. And sometimes it could be that certain type of Chinese. They don't want this kind of Chinese. Wenjanese, they don't like that. It's got to be, so you know, it's okay to preserve cultures. That's a cool thing too. Like, I'm nothing against that. But when we take this path of like a resistance that maybe naturally can happen. So So basically, I just thought I wanted to close on just like, history's a very interesting thing, and it's about perspective, and I think a lot of people don't realize there are many different views. Like, she had a great quote, and I wanted to add a quote behind the museum where, like, you should have a quote that says, to ignore black history is to ignore the full story of human existence. Yeah, that I think, actually, she had so many good quotes, that was one I gave her that I thought. Because if you're just looking at it from maybe just a white perspective, or a Spanish perspective, or Italian perspective, or whatever, you're only getting one slice of the story. So it's like completely incredible when you actually see like the effect of how everybody in the world has a piece of the story. Like everybody's human. It's a human race. It's not one thing. So anyway, that's fine. Yeah. You are what you read. She had that one too. She had so many good ones. I kept telling her, like, write these down.
I went to meditation. I experienced that lack of attention. And I will remind her to pay attention when a thought comes to her. If it's interesting, if it's worthwhile, she should pay attention. Because everything turns out to be invaluable. Because later on, my wife says to me, you know what, I thought of such and such, but I ignored it. And I say, well, what we ignore is that when we are being inspired by God or otherwise, not the devil, but when we're being inspired by a higher force, it often speaks to us very quietly. It's not the big shouts we should listen to, it's the quiet voice that come through.
That's beautiful. I like that. I think that's perfect to end on, So if you really have the universe or God come through you like that, remember that those thoughts are important because they're perishable, They're perishable.
Indeed.
Thanks for talking.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, Can you hug? We'll get the hug down there.
It's a great memorabilia.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. I appreciate it a lot, man. So it's I appreciate all you guys, accepting me, your little family. It's been great.
It was nice. You were like my little brother.
Oh, I love that.
To be nurtured, to be comforted.
I love it.
See, being in a foreign country, not knowing it can be really unsettling. Sure. As I've experienced in Germany. I had my buddies, the soldier, but then when you went out, in the wider community, you were different. I never experienced any overt racism. You're still a foreigner. You're still different to the locals, to the indigenous. So yeah.
Overall, England's been very good to me, very nice.
I hope you had a great time.
I have. We talked about things I won't talk about on here, we had issues with friends, different things. But, I've gained so much of myself from this trip, and I've gained so many other, connections with people that, you may lose one end of life, you can win another area. So I'll just leave it at that, guys. So I hope you enjoyed our conversation. And I just want to show you a beautiful soul over here, another beautiful.
I really appreciate it. I appreciate it. Whilst I wasn't on top form, because I'm kind of self-conscious, and I'm a bit bogus about being on camera, so I gave it the best I could.
You did a fantastic job, and the best way to is talking to, because what it is they're listening in on conversation. Like I can look at it occasionally, but they're a fly on the wall, they're just getting our connection. So anyway, thank you so much, and I'm going to turn it off.